Welcome to the Business Finance Bulletin, episode 109. This week's bulletin with me, Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services. In this week's bulletin, a look at what happened in the crowdfunding world in 2015, a look at some funds being passed on to an asset finance lender in order to lend on to you, and also business confidence. And in my business finance tip of the week, success or failure. From a bank's point of view, good or bad. Let's start this week's bulletin by looking at the crowdfunding sector and what went on in 2015. Around the same time every year, three organisations get together to undertake a review of the sector. Those three organisations are the Cambridge Centre for Alternative Finance, NESTA, and the accountancy firm KPMG. And their 2015 review is just out, called Pushing Boundaries. What does the report show? Well, they estimate that in 2015, the crowdfunders and peer-to-peer lenders matched about £3.2 billion worth of facilities. And that compares to, in 2014, about 1.7 billion. So about an 84% increase, which you think is actually a stellar performance. But the report does highlight that the increase between 2013 and 14 was 161%. So the growth rate has about halved. But hey, it's still an 80% increase on the previous year. Who's benefiting? Well, small businesses. They reckon of that increase, small businesses had about £2.2 billion of it, and 20,000 small businesses took facilities. They also think that the new money lent out accounts for about 12% of the overall small business borrowing in 2015. So it just shows that the crowdfunders are taking a larger share of the pie. Also, equity crowdfunding up 295% on the previous year. So again, increased popularity there. What about investors? Well, private investors now total about 1 million of them. So 1 million individuals sitting there ready to lend you money. So overall, a very strong year for crowdfunding, and I'm sure there's going to be another strong year in 2016 as well. If you want to know more about crowdfunding and whether it can benefit your business, feel free to pick up the phone or drop us an email, info@businessloanservices.co.uk, and we can take you through all the various options. If you're sitting there planning to raise money in order to finance your growth plans, I'm sure that you would like a suite of lenders to go and chat to. Choice is what it's all about in order to get the best deal. And the UK government wants you to have choice as well. That is why, through the British Business Bank, the government is actually lending money to smaller alternative finance providers to on-lend to you. Now, this is via the British Business Bank, which is an organisation which is home to all of the government's access to finance schemes. And one of the schemes the British Business Bank has is called the Enable programme, whereby, as I said, they place money with smaller outfits in order that they can on-lend it. It gives them the pot of money to lend to you. And one such beneficiary has just been announced, called LDF. Now, LDF, alternative provider, they do business loans, loans for corporation tax, income tax and VAT, and also asset finance. And they've just had a fund of £51 million for the asset finance business to on-lend and support its growth plans. So if you're looking to expand and you've got an asset finance need in the form of plant and machinery purchases, vehicles, software generally, then perhaps LDF can help you out. If you want to know more about how you can access that facility, just go along to the LDF website, which is ldf.co.uk, and see if you can tap in to that money that's come from the British Business Bank. What would you say is the key thing you need in order to run a successful business? Well, that's a question asked by Xero, the cloud accounting software provider. They asked that question to 1,300 small business owners, and the answer that came back of the key thing that you need is confidence. 53% of them said that's the main thing that you need to run a successful business. Without confidence, you don't make plans for the future, you don't invest in staff, you don't invest in new equipment. But not everything, of course, in the garden is rosy. 77% of those businesses surveyed said they regularly suffer from a number of pain points. Those pain points are, first of all, number one at the top of the tree, managing staff and clients. Major distraction. Number two, cash flow management. Well, as we know, managing cash flow and late payment can always be a big problem and a big distraction. And the third one, well, it's just not having time to plan ahead, spending too much time in the business instead of on the business. Some top tips from Xero then to round off that survey. Well, the first thing they said, get good advisors around you, people who can help you plan ahead proactively. Also, try again. Just make sure you never give up. And the third tip, which I wholeheartedly agree with as I would, know your numbers. Make sure you're really on top of the financial side of your business. So some great tips there from Xero, and just make sure you sit down, plan ahead, know your numbers, and try and get rid of all of those pain points. Moving on now to my business finance tip of the week. Business success, business failure. How do the banks see it? Well, obviously, if you're running a successful business, when it comes to the bank reviewing your loan request, that's going to be a big tick in the box. But what about business failure? How do the banks view that? Well, not as negatively as you would think. If you've got a business owner like you perhaps who hasn't had a completely successful track record, you may think that failure will go against you. But here's the thing, if you have got business failure behind you, make sure you put it in your plan and highlight what you learnt. Because at the end of the day, failure is a learning experience, as long as, of course, you apply that learning. So don't necessarily think that a business failure will go against you when you're looking for new finance. Make sure you tackle the issue head on and say exactly what you learned from the whole process. Well, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. As ever, if you did, please give it a like and a share. And also, if you are watching the video version, don't forget we've got a podcast version on SoundCloud, Stitcher and iTunes as well. Just search for Business Finance Bulletin. Thanks very much for being with me. Look forward to being with you again next week. Thanks very much and have a great, successful and profitable week. Bye-bye now.